A tropical vacation turned into somewhat of a nightmare for one Canadian traveler after she had to be carried off of a flight in a wheelchair that wasn't her own in a country she didn't speak the language.
Okay.
Canadian travel blogger Tori Hunter sending us this video of the ordeal, which happened earlier this month at an airport in Costa Rica. Hunter normally uses an electric wheelchair. She has a condition which limits her mobility. You can see the look of fear on her face as she's carried down the stairs of an Air Canada flight by several employees. Air Canada tells CityNews all proper procedures were followed in this case. This incident is prompting Hunter to speak out and call for changes. She joins us now from her home in Toronto. Tori, thank you so much for speaking with us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
We just saw the video of you being taken down the stairs. You looked like you were in distress. Can you talk to us about what you were feeling?
Yeah, I mean, I was absolutely terrified. I've never had to get off a plane in this way before. The aisle chair that they brought to get me off the plane was completely broken. The armrests were busted off the side. The straps did not tighten enough to support my body. And I was expecting there to be a jet bridge so that we wouldn't have to navigate steps to get me off. So when I got to the front of the plane and saw those steps, I was just terrified, as you can see by the look on my face.
And I'm wondering, as you board this flight, were you at any point told that this was going to happen?
No, I was not told at all. And I have a file with the Air Canada medical desk, so they knew that that I had a power wheelchair with me and that I would need assistance getting on and off the aircraft. So all that paperwork was done ahead of time, and at no point was I notified that this would be the process.
What kind of measures could the airline or the airport actually have in place to, help you feel more secure?
Well, I think it's, important to acknowledge that this airport did have jet bridges available, which would have made this a much safer process for not only myself, but also the crew members that were assisting me. So this wasn't a matter of the airport, not having the infrastructure to support this. They did have that. So, I wish that there was better communication between Air Canada and the airport so that that could have been in place for me to safely get off the plane.
We've heard similar stories before of people who use wheelchairs who are faced with these accessibility issues. Why do you think this continues to happen?
I think this is really an issue of airlines across the board, not just Air Canada, this is all airlines, not prioritizing accessibility and also the safety of passengers with disabilities. I mean, you've seen stories of people's mobility aids being completely demolished by going in the cargo with all the luggage. There's no accessible bathrooms on aircrafts. There's not proper training in place for the crew to help transfer us on and off the aircraft. So I think you see these stories time and time again, and it's just showcasing that airlines are really not taking this matter seriously.
And I want to talk a little bit about the reason for your trip to Costa Rica. It was a special trip for a wedding. I'm wondering how or what impact this experience had on this important day for you.
Yeah, my family and I were actually going for my cousin's wedding. And yeah, it was definitely not the greatest start to the trip. I was definitely shaken up for a couple days. Obviously, it wasn't how I expected my beautiful start to this trip. But overall, we did have a great time. And Costa Rica was such an amazing place to visit.
How was your flight back?
My flight back, it was actually, there were stairs as well up to the Air Canada flight. However, because we were in a little less of a rush to get, on the plane, we were able to request that my dad just carried me up in his arms. So I was not comfortable using that aisle chair again, given that it was still broken. So my dad actually just physically picked me up and carried me up all those steps.
Tori, I'm wondering if you have a message for Air Canada.
I think my message is just that people with disabilities are not going to stop traveling. And I really wish that they would take this a little bit more seriously. And I think it's also important to acknowledge that accessibility benefits everyone. Having a means to exit the plane without steps doesn't just benefit me. It benefits seniors, it benefits, parents that have strollers, it benefits young children. So I think just looking at these policies and looking at ways that it can be more accessible to everyone is so beneficial.
Okay, Tori, thank you so much for sharing this story with us and for your time here today. We will, of course, be following this story closely in the coming days. Thanks again.
Thank you.
And we did reach out to Air Canada about what happened here. The airline tells us it has procedures in place for when no aircraft bridge is available. Quote, using a bridge is always a preferred option for both our customers, especially those with disabilities, and for us. Regrettably, this was not an option in Costa Rica for this flight. However, as part of our accessibility plan, we will be reviewing airport procedures, including for smaller foreign stations.